Hello and welcome to We the People. It was the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, who first gave the call for prohibition. Because of that, the pursuit of prohibition became a directive principle in our constitution. But as the modern Indian state evolved over the years, there is perhaps a broad consensus today, especially among younger people, that whether you want to have a drink or two should surely be your personal choice. You would think that's something we could take for granted. Instead, this past week, Kerala has become the latest state to actually announce that it will be implementing prohibition. The Kerala government, in a move that's widely seen to be driven by politics instead of high principle, has said that it wants Kerala to be free of alcohol completely in the next decade. Alcohol abuse, of course, is a serious reality. Women especially often bear the brunt of alcohol-driven violence. But is prohibition the answer to alcohol abuse, or is it an archaic relic of the past, a kind of moral policing that has no place in a modern society? Let me get started with Tushar Gandhi as somebody who is from the family of the great Mahatma. You know, principles, even Gandhian principles, we don't know how those principles would have adapted themselves today. We don't know what Mahatma Gandhi would have said about this entire debate today. When you see Bapu's name being invoked, and it has been in Gujarat previously, it is being done so in Kerala. There are other states like Nagaland and Manipur that have prohibition. Mizoram, interestingly, had prohibition but has given it up after 17 years, by the way. Do you believe this is some high Gandhian principle that is being followed by our politicians?
Well, I wished the politicians, actually lived by the Gandhian principles. But having said that, I will not demonize prohibition. I will not.
You will not demonize.
I will not demonize prohibition, not just because I am the great grandson of the Mahatma, but because I believe that it is, no matter how unpopular it may be, it is still a social requirement, because alcohol abuse is rampant in our country. And just because prohibition has been dishonestly implemented, and that's why it appears to be not successful anywhere, it doesn't mean that the philosophy of restraint is
so you would actually support legislating, and you would support
an
individual's right to decide whether she wants a glass of wine this evening.
I would support legislating to make it difficult so that one glass of wine doesn't become a cocktail of alcohol.
Make it more expensive. Why ban it?
Maybe make it more expensive. Then again, there will be criticism for that. But governments generally, go for the easy way out.
So you're saying the principle appeals to you, the legislation maybe not?
The legislation, because it is never implemented sincerely. It's always done in an insincere manner, and it is always done in a corrupt manner.
Okay,
it's never policed
let me bring in Roji John. He's somebody who's from Kerala. He's also the president of the NSUI, that's the Students' Organization of the Congress. What I want to ask you is somebody who represents your generation. Can you convince your own friends that what your state has done is correct? Let's stop being politically correct here. There are a number of us who may want to go out for an evening, enjoy a drink or two, end it there. Surely the debate should be about alcohol consumption in moderation and not about bans. Don't bans belong to an era of, and the time of that era has passed?
I think what happened in Kerala was a result of a huge public demand and movement by various sections of the society. Not just some religious groups.
I was just going to say the perception is that this is actually kowtowing to religious groups, whether it's the Christian or the Muslim minorities in the state. That is certainly the accusation. The Kerala government didn't conduct an opinion poll among its people. It didn't have a referendum. So how do you know this wide public backing?
There was government. This was one of the poll promises of the Congress-led UDF government in the state.
Yeah.
And there was a huge demand for it. From various sections, as I said, especially women and including youth, because I would give one example.
Yeah.
The state excise department had started a campaign called Addicted to Life 2 weeks back. And this was a social media campaign, and the support that it received on social media was huge.
But I ask you,
And that shows
I ask you
that
again, as a
shows
young person, as a young political voice, do you really believe that you could be telling people today that the state will decide? The state will decide whether you could have a drink or not.
No, I fully.
I mean, that's what happens in Pakistan. And by the way, there's enough bootlegging there. So that's the same thing that's going to happen in Kerala.
Yes, I fully support the personal choices of every individual.
But you also support the ban.
But at the same time, while I support the personal choice, I cannot today sit and say that okay, you make drugs available in the country because there are people who want to use drugs, or you cannot tomorrow say that.
But is that okay? So I think the question is whether it's comparable, and it's interesting because cigarettes that are actually much more harmful to health compared to alcohol in moderation will never be banned. There'll probably be too strong a tobacco lobby here. I just want to put this to. Admittedly, we don't have an audience just from Kerala, but a slice of public opinion. I just want to take a quick straw poll among our audience. Those of you who think prohibition is a good idea, raise your hand. Prohibition is a good idea. And I'm seeing maybe not even 5% of this audience hands go up. Yeah.
Barka, there's a saying that for something good to happen, it just needs a minority of a few people. So I have hope.
I saw this young lady here raising her hand, and I'm going to first get a sense from people who are supporting this, because I know most people here don't support it. Why do you think it's a good idea?
It is indeed a good idea because if I think about the productivity it hits, and of course the abuse which we cannot ignore, that is a good idea. I mean, to just give an example, a rational example, we always give spread awareness about following the road rules of driving, but we cannot just pull out the traffic police from that. I mean, of course, nobody will follow it. So prohibition has to be there.
So you're saying you can't trust people to drink in moderation?
Not everybody. So the people who...
So how old are you?
23.
Have you ever had a drink?
Yeah.
But you want prohibition?
Yeah, because I know I would be drinking in moderation.
You're getting her
All
into
right,
trouble.
let's get since you're sitting next to Shiv, let's bring Shiv into the conversation. Shiv, go ahead. You've heard the arguments about alcohol abuse. Is that a basis enough to make this larger point about prohibition?
See, I think you've got to take it in a different way. Because when you talk about prohibition, you immediately think of gangsters, you think of Al Capone, Dawood drops in a cameo role. No, because to a certain extent the problem becomes the solution sometimes is more dangerous than the problem.
Yeah.
And I think one has to be careful here. But at the same time, let's be clear that alcohol abuse is a major problem. The way you handle it has to be looked at differently.
Why do you think here the solution is worse than the problem?
Let me begin with three things. Since you began with Gandhi, let me also begin with the Constituent Assembly.
Yes.
My favorite character in it, Jaipal Singh.
Yeah.
When the Gandhians were talking about alcoholism, Jaipal Singh, tribal, Cambridge, hockey blue, turned around and said, drink is my identity, you can't take it away from me. What I'm trying to emphasize here, there are cultures where alcohol is a part of a way of life.
Yeah.
And to a certain extent, maybe you know your wine as well as you know your friends. All I'm counseling is, let's have a touch of moderation here. I mean, I love Gandhians, except when it comes to prohibition.
Well, there were cultures where headhunting was the tradition. So do we allow them to take scalps and
That's bad anthropology.
But it's a facetious comparison, Tushar. Are we now comparing having a drink with headhunting?
Well, finally, when alcohol abuse happens, doesn't it kill?
But may I again say that is the debate around alcohol abuse or is the debate around alcohol per se? Father Sebastian, let me bring you in. There is a perception that in many parts this decision by the Kerala government in particular has been driven by demands of the church. There is a political calculation here. There is a political conflict between the Chief Minister of Kerala and his main rival. He's trying to, conduct a game of one-upmanship. But in effect, sir, isn't this really moral policing? I mean, even Christianity is all about converting water into wine. So what's the problem?
It's not the Christians alone. It's all the religions in Kerala. They want this prohibition for many reasons. And I would say this is a courageous decision by the government. Because
has it been a long-standing demand of the church? Has it been a long-standing demand of the church?
It had been. And the reason is, if you see the statistics, you can see most of the divorces happening in Kerala is due to abuse of alcohol. I was director of a major hospital in Kerala, and I have seen at least 40% of the accidents which came in there, it was either a man hurts himself because of alcohol abuse or he hurt somebody else.
No, that is, of course, absolutely condemnable. But Father, my question would be that if a divorce is taking place because of alcohol abuse and there's a ban in the state, that man will go and find some other source of that liquor, which is why you have huge tragedies. I mean, prohibition is not an effective idea.
No, that makes it clear that the abuse of alcohol is to be prevented, and at the moment the way to do it is only prevention.
Let me bring Dilip Cherian in. Dilip, someone from the state as well. Do you drink?
I'm a total teetotaler,
So
but I support the right to drink totally. Okay, I'm,
because it's a democratic right?
Though I've got cousins who've been SMSing me furiously, saying, "Don't you dare!" because the people of the state want prohibition.
They are saying that.
Apparently, they're saying that. But it just shocks me that a state which obviously, everyone's been talking about high values and morals and constituent assemblies here. It's also about economics. This is a state which gets 1/3 of its revenue from the excise on alcohol.
Yeah.
This is a state where the biggest earning is today from tourism. And this is a state which is also facing the prospect of enormous dips in the NRI remittances.
Isn't it also about this generation of people, as you saw in the audience response, not liking the state to tell people what to do? Why are we not making this also a debate around personal liberty?
This is a generation which is probably going to have Amazon have drones drop books onto their roofs. The point is, it is impossible to police this generation with draconian rules. You will end up with lots more of people being found as rule violators, and the police, and you'll have to unleash a police state. I think that there is a danger to this, because what we are doing is gradually allowing the trampling upon of personal liberty in a variety of areas for a variety of good reasons, health reasons, all kinds of reasons.
But I think you're echoing what Shiv said, that is the solution, in a sense, worse than the problem. Quick straw poll again. Those of you who think that prohibition is the state interfering in your personal choices, raise your hand. It's the state interfering. It's the state interfering. And that's most people here, and I'm going to ask you why you think that, but let me get Jose Dominic in. As someone who's a very prominent hotelier from Kerala, what worries you the most about this announcement by the government?
I think what we really need to understand is Kerala's, from an economic point of view, Kerala's dependence on tourism.
Yes.
And if there's one industry where Kerala has succeeded, it was in this industry. And now, with the view to prevent alcohol abuse, one other record Kerala has is, they say, the highest per capita consumption of alcohol.
Yes.
And is overtaking Punjab. Now,
Already
these facts are really not to be misread, because there is in Punjab, in Kerala, there's regulation so much stronger. So therefore, all the liquor consumed is accounted for. And therefore, per capita consumption appears to be high.
Oh, so you're saying that because there isn't an underbelly of illicit liquor, therefore the per capita consumption is higher than other states.
But the point I would like to make here,
Yes,
is post-independence, there are two significant events that have made a change in Kerala. One is the NRK, two is tourism.
Yeah.
NRK last year drew in 90,000 crores.
Yeah.
But all that is in conspicuous consumption. It does have little impact on livelihood creation. It is tourism which is making a big change. It is tourism which is driving, which is the reason why people will not drink.
Okay, let me just get
But
Roji
Kerala
John.
is also popular for its health tourism.
Kerala is also
Popular for its health tourism.
okay. You're all speaking together. Rahul, Ishwar, give me half a second. Quick response from Roji John. Look at the figures. I mean, just the preliminary number crunching has shown that 25,000 people could be out of jobs. 10,000 crores worth of investments could be affected. The state will lose 1,800 crores plus revenue in terms of the exchequer. Now, this is why, when in the 1950s, the Lok Sabha actually passed a legislation in favor of prohibition, the states actually chose to break away from this legislation and make their own choices because that revenue is very essential.
See, first of all, I don't buy this argument that this will affect the tourism industry, because I don't think people tourists come to Kerala just to drink.
Yeah.
And also because they are not coming from places where alcohol is not available.
Yeah.
So tourists come to Kerala because of various other reasons, the natural beauty and several other things. And
no.
second-
But I'm not saying people go to Kerala to drink, but you know, some people's idea of a good holiday is also to have a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
You can go to the 5-star hotel.
You can go to.
You can go to
The 5-star hotel.
Now,
and
Tushar,
go.
I find this the most problematic. I actually find this the most problematic part. Why is it okay, Tushar, to consume liquor in a 5-star hotel but not anywhere else?
So
Is
the
it some
government
elitist-
makes
See,
more
the
money.
idea-
Sorry, let him answer that.
The government, which is addicted to revenue, makes more money if you
But
go to the 5-star hotel.
It's
and
not an
drink.
egalitarian.
It takes it out.
It's
It takes
not
it
an
out of the
egalitarian
reach
argument.
of the
Rahul Ishwar,
students.
what's the defense for this prohibition?
See, the first one,
Yeah.
if turning water to wine was a miracle, we Keralites are doing one more miracle. We are turning vodkas to vegetables and scores to school fees. I think it's a bigger miracle. And the upper middle class elite liberalism, which based on a relativistic nihilism, cannot be a framework to understand a lower middle class problem of alcoholism, which destroys families.
So you're saying that
And one more thing, and one more thing.
personal liberties and elitist
No,
snob.
no. The personal liberty you are saying from a very limited, narrow point of view cannot be a yardstick to understand a lower middle class problem of alcoholism, which in effect on ground destroys families. And
We
the
should
third
also
point,
go back to
55.
bullock carts, because
You should also go back to bullock carts.
Hold on.
No, listen to what
They
Dilip
don't
is saying.
kill people.
Then you have to
They
go to
middle
such
class.
tourism of some nations.
No, we have to go to the
come
bullock cart.
on.
We're running out of
Let's not
fossil
stress
fuel.
the arguments to both
Sir,
extremes.
1 second. What are we conflating here? We have just conflated in this program beheading,
Beheading.
sex tourism, drugs.
Hold on.
We're having a glass of
See,
wine.
drugs and drinks. Hold on. And
Barka,
55 to
Barka.
65%. 55 to 65%
Barka,
of crime in Kerala is catalyzed by alcohol. 55 to 65%
So we
of
must-
crime in Kerala is catalyzed by alcohol.
Okay, I'm going to get
So
Dilip.
please
I'm going to
let
get
not be a
Dilip.
question
I'm going to
of-
get
No,
Dilip.
I think this is wonderful because clearly it's exposing the kind of debate that's going on. You know, the fact is that we've got to face that this is a political hope that the Congress is, the current government is pinning its hope on. The only good thing is that they've made a mistake of saying we'll do it in 10 years. They'll be trounced out pretty soon, as you can see, because the mood in Kerala, despite what Rosie and what my cousins say of people in support, the fact is that young people are not going to tolerate.
Let's hear from one such young person sitting here. What do you think? You raised your hand when you said it interferes with personal liberty.
It obviously does, and I would say if Kerala took the plunge of making Kerala crime-free in the next 10 years, I would call it courageous. But actually to come up with something like this is what is leading to divorce and this is what is, I don't know, corroding our culture, maybe the next will be, if some people think non-vegetarian food is not good, maybe in the Gandhian philosophy we find something like
Right.
that, then maybe we can also
Then what about drugs?
go further.
What about drugs? Kerala is also having a problem with
Alcohol
drugs.
is not the same as drugs for, I
In
mean,
the
for
same way, the
heaven's
counter
sake,
comparison is not
There are
also
societies-
normal
there
part
are
of
societies where
people's
drugs
life,
are over
people's nightlife or celebration.
You know,
or
we just have an
a stress
example. We
buster
just have
after
an
a hard
example of a
day
young
at work.
lady who
Let
is
people have
not
fun.
of legitimate
Let us just finish your
age.
point. Let us just finish. What disturbs you the most about this?
Because the government is dictating beverage choices to us.
It's not like Coca-Cola and
One second. I want to bring Shiv in here to respond to Rahul's point, and then I'll come to you, Lakshmi Nalapat. Rahul says this is elitist. You know, you guys sitting here in this air-conditioned studio, what do you know?
Okay, let's assume I'm both Brahminic and elitist to satisfy Rahul. But I'm also a sociologist who watches these things. I think let's take it. I think the interesting statement and the one we have to respond to is Father Sebastian's.
Yes.
That to a certain extent, it destroys culture, it destroys society, it destroys fun. Here, I think you see something. One, a need for individual freedom.
Yes.
And two, the question of social responsibility. That to a certain extent, a society is facing an acute set of problems.
Yeah.
The fundamentalism is of separating the two, saying only individual liberty might drink or give me death,
Yeah.
or
So both are extreme
so I
positions
think
in a
one
sense.
of the things we have to do here, and I think one of the nice things that Dilip, who was always hopeful about long durations of time, said 10 years. But 10 years might help us think the problem in a different way.
Yeah.
So we're not caught in the fundamentalism.
So why commit to 10 years? This is how it's going to be. Lakshmi, what do you think? I mean, especially when it comes to women. I mean, you know, even today, women who say, or this young girl who said, yeah, I've had a drink, but I still support prohibition. But women who say, I enjoy my drink, are still viewed through this moral prism.
Very true.
And what scares me about this decision by the Kerala government is that it seems to be a kind of moral policing in the name of alcohol, trying to contain alcohol abuse. Are we mixing up issues here?
Of course we are. Because we, by this proposed law, what the Kerala government is trying to do is to, make a law and make it good behavior. It doesn't work out that way. You can't, you can't get good behavior like that. Of course, alcohol abuse is a huge problem.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And that problem is with the lower financially
we don't know that
empowered.
actually. We don't know that.
That is also true. Because
We don't know that. I mean, domestic violence, for example, it crosses class barriers.
The-
It might be
No,
alcohol
because
induced.
problems are there. We cannot close our eyes to reality.
But you're the one who said, Rahul, that this is elitist concern.
No, it's an elitist concern because you are seeing only from a framework of liberalism.
Respond to what Lakshmi is saying. Let her complete her point. Yeah, Lakshmi, go ahead.
what about women, okay, who wear pearls and chiffon and cover their, the batterings which their drunken husbands give with their sari and say, oh, I hit my back on the, when I was on the cupboard. What about that? That is domestic violence.
I think, Rahul, the point is that the state can't be the policeman. Good behavior, children, good teachers realize this about children in school. That's why Enid Blyton used to make the naughtiest girl the class monitor. Because when you try and tell somebody, don't do this, it's the surest way of getting them to do it.
Well, there are two kinds of policing. One is moral policing and one is a reverse moral policing, a
Yeah.
progressive policing.
Yeah.
Whenever the state stands up for right or a good behavior, then a reverse moral policing and progressive policing comes up and say, who decides this is right? This is regressive, as you call it. So all the good things a state does is regressive, and the counterpoint would be simple, this thing. On ground reality is different. We in Youth Commission have done extensive campaign.
Yeah.
I'm the last person to support Congress, but it was a great decision by the Congress government, and I should personally on record, I'm the Secretary of Hindu Parliament, but I should support the church, the Muslim League. They have taken the
So
campaign.
for once, you're all on the same side. Let's take a question here. Okay, let's take a question here.
I have 2 points to make. Point number 1, nobody calls for a cup of tea these days. When you want to sit up for a discussion, you say, let's catch up for beer. Okay? So are you going to, is the government going to decide, the individual preferences? That is one. Point number 2 is, toddy is readily available in nook and crannies of Kerala.
Are you from Kerala?
Yes, I am. I am from Kanyakumari, which borders Trivandrum.
Yeah.
So I have traveled Kerala extensively through the western coast.
Yeah.
So toddy is readily available, and that is made available to every single household. They use it for different, making different food stuff. It is used extensively by people who cannot afford the government-labeled liquor. I mean, how would you contain that? It can easily be fermented at home.
Okay, Rahul, quick point before I take this to Father Sebastian. You said that as someone who represents Hindu Parliament and Hindu groups, but a number of the bar owners are actually neither Christian nor Muslim. They are
That's
Hindu. Are you okay with hurting a community's
there
source of income?
There was a
and
serious
livelihood?
debate in Hindu community regarding this, that we are going to lose the money. But at last the consensus came to a point where I said, see, in order to protect the social health, psychological and physical health of the majority is majority, we need to go with the decision. And see, the government is sacrificing thousands of crores. Why? For a good reason, and we should appreciate government for that.
But Father Sebastian, you also have to pay attention to the young voices here. For example, this young man, he's from Kerala. He's not convinced. The church also has to adapt to the times, as any religious group does, that people don't like being lectured to. Is this decision not a form of a moral lecture?
No, if it is needed, we have to do it, because a lot of youngsters spoil their future because of abuse of alcohol. They either get into that drink habit, or they get hurt also. And if today, in a family, in a traditional family, if they go for a marriage, the first question they ask whether the boy drinks. That's a very important issue.
Jose, how do you respond to that?
See, these kind of restrictions are not going to remove abuse. They're only going to encourage abuse. They're going to create a society of bootleggers and going to create a criminalization society. We're going to create Al Capones.
Yeah.
Instead, what we need is to address the state, its economy, employment, hope, and that is what this is hitting right to the very base of Kerala.
This seems to imply that if you have prohibition, the whole society will turn into Al Capones. What nonsense! How can everybody is criminal?
Look at Gujarat. Let's look at Gujarat, which was the first state to have prohibition.
Gujarat is the most insincere application of prohibition.
But there are always ways around the system anywhere people can produce hooch, people can produce their own toddy.
Is always implemented in a corrupt manner.
Yes.
There is no honest policy.
So you're saying the problem is the implementation. I think what we are saying is that the very idea lends itself to defiance. Dilip?
Absolutely. And the fact is that what Tushar is saying is right, that Gujarat is a good example of a state which has carried on and on and on. and has the most efficient bootlegging system in the country. It's efficient at everything it does because Gujaratis recognize profit.
It's a part of the Gujarat model of development.
It's also part of
I was going to ask the Congress why Kerala decided to follow the Gujarat model.
No.
He decided to follow the Gandhiji's model.
Gandhiji's model.
No, the difference is that...
No, Gujarat doesn't have Bapu's model.
No, it's not that...
Okay, let him just respond.
No, I think it's not that one fine morning Kerala government woke up
It
and
is
said...
exactly like that.
No, it's not. It is not. It is not. I'll tell you. Because in 1996, Kerala government banned the local made liquor in the state, which is called archaic.
Yes.
This was banned because that was a major issue in the state, and this was banned in 1996. And today the time has come. The whole society was demanding for it.
So, should other Congress ruled states also follow the same?
I mean, I would be happy if everyone does that.
Okay.
And secondly,
then I want to hear from
I have a feeling.
Why only Congress ruled?
Yeah, I mean all the
He's a Congress representative, that's why I asked.
At this point of time, we are talking of a state where there is clearly a question of alcohol abuse has gone up very high, and I think that the state needs to address that. What they're trying to do is that they're addressing it piecemeal by saying this is the problem, let's crack down on this.
Okay, let me hear from this young lady sitting next to us. She is somebody who's here to share her story as a reformed alcoholic. I think that is how she would describe herself, someone who used to have an alcohol abuse problem but has actually managed over the years to get out of that problem and now helping other people to, in a sense, lose this terrible and sort of self-depleting habit. Tell me how you got into this. How did you become so dependent on alcohol that it became a kind of abuse of alcohol?
Yeah, I come from a middle class family where I had never seen alcohol. But my first condition of getting married was that my husband should not consume alcohol. But it happened the other way around. And on a holy day, my husband said consuming bhang is acceptable and it's not alcohol. So I had a glass of bhang and I liked the kick of it. I liked the effect of it. So after a few days he brought vodka and I enjoyed it. So slowly and steadily over the time I started liking the effect of alcohol.
But you couldn't drink in moderation?
No, no, I couldn't. I graduated. It took me a few years to become an alcoholic, to become dependent on alcohol.
And did your husband have the same problem?
No, he still drinks, he still enjoys.
Would you say he enjoys his drink or he's an alcoholic?
No, he enjoys his drink. He knows when to put the cap back. I could never put the cap back.
And how do you see this prohibition debate?
Personally, I am against prohibition. What I would like to suggest to all the higher authorities is create an awareness.
That's true.
Create an awareness, educate people. I mean, I'm hearing alcohol abuse. It is a disease which affects a human being threefold, physically, mentally, and spiritually. When a person starts drinking, the first fatal drink triggers off the chemical in a human person, in a human being. And then the person cannot stop. The person starts lying, starts manipulating for money.
Yet you don't support a ban, even though, even though, if I'm not wrong, you began drinking at the age of 22 and you were an alcoholic into your 40s.
Yeah.
So you lost the best years of your life to alcohol, but you don't support prohibition.
I don't. Why? Because as one person said, if a person is prohibiting something, it will come out in a larger scale. I mean, if anyone prohibited me from, I was stopped by my family members. Don't drink so much, it will affect your health. But I drank 2 full times. I said, how dare this ask me to stop drinking?
So you're saying it's counterproductive?
It
has
is.
the opposite effect.
It
has the opposite effect.
Certainly.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's very brave of you to come here and do that. Lakshmi Nalapati was wanting to make a point. This is very interesting. You know, this is the perils of what can happen when there's unfettered kind of consumption of alcohol. But she's saying it doesn't work. Prohibition doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. In fact, there is one Gujarat model which I would like to talk about. It's not connected with alcohol.
Yes.
Surat was one of the dirtiest places in Gujarat.
Yes.
There was a gentleman called S.R. Rao, if I'm not mistaken, who cleaned up the place after the plague. And the people who were he involved all the people, and it's called Rao Sena, and they cleaned up the place. You could eat off the pavement in Surat.
Yeah.
That is the kind of awareness that we should look about, where people are involved, the persons are involved, and society is involved. The government is going to pay a lot of money to the bars to stop it.
Yeah.
Please to put that money, make the women, teach the women self-defense, so that when their drunken husbands slap them around, they slap them back, and that's the end of the violence.
But it doesn't end with that, no? It
That's
doesn't end
one
with
step.
that.
That's one step.
It doesn't end with that. We are actually going to hear from a woman who's sitting right behind you, and she has gone through a history of domestic violence. I'm going to hear from her in a minute. But I don't know if it ends with that. I don't know if ek thappad wapis mara baat khatam ho gayi.
No, but at least they'll be scared, the men.
Okay, let's take a question here.
Yes. I am Dr. Bharat Bhushan. We are running a rehabilitation center since 25 years in Delhi itself.
Yes.
And we have seen lot of suffering from the women's sides.
So would you support prohibition?
No, I support prohibition along with two more strategies. There should be awareness generation who do not drink to prevent them from the drinking.
But you're saying prohibition plus, but you still support the ban.
Prohibition, then awareness.
But you heard from the lady behind you who's a victim herself, but she doesn't support prohibition.
No, you have to support the prohibition along with the awareness generation who do not.
Can I get you to respond? One minute. Can I get you to respond to what he's saying? He runs a de-addiction center. He deals with people like you every single day. He says, no, you've got to have prohibition, but you've also got to have other things along with it.
No, I don't agree with it. Prohibition is no solution at all. Creating awareness is a solution. I mean, I have seen people going to rehabs and coming out and again drinking, covering up for the time they were in the rehab centers. I mean, prohibition cannot stop alcohol abuse.
But they drink because it's available.
One minute, sir, Tushar.
They drink because it's available. If prohibition was there, they wouldn't have been able to get alcohol that easily.
A person who wants to drink can create a bottle from anywhere.
I think you've got to hear her. She's talking from experience. Repeat that point.
If a person wants to drink, create any prohibitions, that person will get that bottle.
Okay, so therefore, is this realistic? Father Sebastian, there are many, large populations of a Christian community everywhere in the world. We don't see this debate there. We don't see the church initiating this debate. Why? Why only here in Kerala?
In Kerala, it's a different situation. In Europe and all the Christianity, there are people who have been drinking all the time, but with very much limitation, and it's part of their food. And Kerala, it is not that. They are abusing it, and they are spoiling their life and the life of the family, and the family members suffer. They have also a right. See, when we speak about the right of an individual to choose whether to drink or not, we have to think also about the right of the family, the wife and the children.
Okay, now you've spoken about the family, and I want to hear, we heard from somebody who's been an alcohol abuser, and she says prohibition is a terrible idea. Let's get another perspective here. Sapna ji, बात यहाँ पे हो रही है that families suffer, women suffer. आप भी इस तरह से, आप टीचर हैं, बहुत सालों तक आपने सफ़र किया, अपनी कहानी बताइए।
मैंने जो है 25 इयर्स मेरी मैरिज को हो गए, और मैंने फ्रॉम फर्स्ट डे मैंने इस चीज़ को सफ़र किया।
Your husband is an alcoholic?
हाँ, वो बहुत ज़्यादा ड्रिंक करते थे, बट मैंने नहीं किया, मेरे बच्चों ने भी किया, उनके अपने पेरेंट्स ने भी किया, उन्होंने भी सफ़र किया है साथ में। मैं ये नहीं बोल रही हूँ कि खाली मैंने किया, मेरे बच्चे बहुत इंटेलिजेंट हैं, बट इस चीज़ की वजह से वो बहुत पीछे हुए लाइफ में। इसमें ज़्यादा नहीं बोल सकती।
आप इस बैन को सपोर्ट करते हैं?
बिल्कुल।
आप सपोर्ट करते हैं?
मैं ये कहती हूँ कि मैंने सबकी बात सुनी है, मैं ये कहती हूँ कि लोग ये बोलते हैं कि ये गवर्नमेंट की इनकम है, गवर्नमेंट की इनकम है, लेकिन वो घर देखो जिस घर से आदमी इनकम छीन कर और गवर्नमेंट को इनकम देता है, अपने घर की रोटी छीन कर वो गवर्नमेंट को इनकम दे रहे हैं। मैं भी भारत देश में रहती हूँ, और मैं भी ये चाहती हूँ कि मेरे घर भी और मेरे बच्चे भी उसी तरह से जिए जैसे बाकी सब जीते हैं। तो गवर्नमेंट को मैं ये नहीं कह रही हूँ कि वो अपनी इनकम बंद करे, लेकिन उन्हें कोई ना कोई एक्शन जरूर लेना चाहिए जिससे मिडिल क्लास फैमिली के जो जेंट्स हैं वो इस चीज से पीछे रहें।
किस तरह से आपने सफर किया?
हमने बहुत सफर किया है। मेरे बच्चे बहुत इंटेलिजेंट थे पढ़ाई में, लेकिन इस वजह से वो इतने शाय रहे, कभी बाहर नहीं निकलते थे, सोसाइटी में सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाते थे। इंटेलिजेंट होने के बाद उन्होंने बहुत ज़्यादा सफ़र किया उस चीज़ से, और उनके अपने पेरेंट्स ने भी किया है। उनके वो एक ही बेटे अपने मम्मी पापा के, उन्होंने उनको भी बहुत तंग किया है।
तो आपके हस्बैंड
वायलेंट, बिल्कुल वायलेंट। उन्होंने बहुत मारा है हमें भी, मेरे बच्चों को भी, इवन अपने पेरेंट्स पे भी हाथ उठाया उन्होंने। और वो बहुत इंटेलिजेंट भी हैं, बहुत इंटेलिजेंट है, मगर ये अल्कोहलिक होने की वजह से वो लाइफ में इतने पीछे चले गए कि वो रात को उन्होंने ड्रिंक कर ली, सुबह उनका माइंड गॉन है, वो कहीं सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो पाए, सोसाइटी में सर्वाइव नहीं कर पाए। और वो इतने इंटेलिजेंट होने के बाद लेकिन पीने की वजह से लाइफ में सबसे पीछे हो गए। आज उनसे सब पीछे हो गए, सिर्फ उनका साथ लाइफ में कौन दे रहा है? सिर्फ मैं। इवन मेरे बच्चे भी उनसे पीछे हो रहे हैं, लेकिन मैं क्या करूं? मैं वाइफ हूं ना उनकी। उन्होंने बोला कि डाइवोर्स लेना कोई ये नहीं है कि हस्बैंड अल्कोहलिक है तो उससे डाइवोर्स ले ले। जिनकी फैमिली पीछे से बैकग्राउंड जो है मिडिल क्लास है, वो लेडी कहाँ जाएगी? मेरे फादर नहीं थे, मेरी मदर ने पाला है, मैं कहाँ जाऊंगी?
आपसे एक आखिरी सवाल पूछूंगी कि जो लोग कह रहे हैं कि प्रोहिबिशन से कोई असर नहीं होता क्योंकि इलीगल लिकर शुरू हो जाता है।
बिल्कुल होता है।
तो फिर क्या फायदा?
उतने तो गवर्नमेंट ने जो है सड़कों पर पानी पीने का प्रबंध नहीं है जितना हर कॉर्नर पे जो है इन्होंने जो ये ड्रिंक के जो ठेके बना दिए हैं, उतना तो लोग पानी पीने के लिए तरसते हैं जितना ड्रिंक मिलता है।
You know, we've been talking about creating awareness and all that. But you know, with cigarette smoking on every pack, you have those hideous photographs of cancer and things. Do we have photographs of liver cirrhosis on liquor bottles?
Okay, let me get Shiva.
Do we have her stories on packs of liquor saying what happened?
But
to
I ask again: is there a difference between abuse and moderation? Shiv,
moderation doesn't survive as much as abuse does.
Exactly.
Okay, Shiv.
See, let's put it this way. I respect freedom. And I respect the freedom of the individual. But when a society at a particular time faces such a problem, the person who drinks has to take a certain social responsibility for that. I think what these people are saying is, you are not just drinkers, you're also citizens.
Yeah.
How do you respond as citizens to this problem?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to debate it over a drink if you want to be callous. But more important, what responsibility do you take for the society?
Yeah.
See, let's get rid of, this is not a communal problem of religions, one religion supporting. Let's get rid of that nonsense.
Yeah, agreed.
Absolutely.
I think here politics and religion are accepting a social responsibility. Let's respect them for it. I mean, cynicism
you can see all the religions.
But you don't agree with their decision.
No, I'm saying we have to work out a different kind of solution. See, prohibition, no prohibition. There has to be different kinds of problem solving.
Look at the free availability of alcohol over here. In the studio, we have a girl who is introduced to alcohol as an underage.
Exactly.
This is what happens in freedom of choice and free availability of liquor.
As low as 13, and state cannot sell health of a people to create wealth. Let us not only look at it economically, there is a broader paradigm to look at it, and there are serious issues and one more thing.
But are we saying we don't trust people to make informed choices?
Kerala is having a three-pronged policy, A, B and C. Awareness is there, banning is there, consensus building of people is there, conciliation is there. So this is a multi-dimensional approach.
Okay, Shiv, one sentence and then Dilip.
No, wait. Let's take a common comparison.
Yeah.
When you eliminate tribes for the pursuit of growth, you see the same kind of model problem. Here you are eliminating part of the population for economic growth. If alcohol is only money, then let's take the social cost.
So you're saying the debate can't be about revenue alone. That is a dangerous argument. I think that's a good point. Dilip, go ahead.
You know, I'm willing to concede that it's not just about revenue, because there is the other driver, which is the expense that the state goes through on health, on social infrastructure, all of that.
Yeah.
But this is a state which should have really had a much larger infrastructure as it organized its alcohol trade in terms of making sure that consumption was also an informed choice.
Yeah.
Clearly, Keralites have taken their rights in an extreme form.
But I think the hub of the debate is actually more about liberty than about revenue.
Yeah.
A question here.
I think there is a very problematic generalization in the government's argument that all alcoholics beat up their wives. All alcoholics are people who break the law. I think that is wrong. I think it's a very easy move for the government to ban alcoholism rather than deal with problems of law and order. Increase and empower the police machinery. Those are problems that need this.
Okay.
There were three instances.
Tushar.
I'm proud to be part of the small minority that actually supports, if not prohibition, but actually curtailing the consumption of alcohol. There was a reason it was included in the directive principles of state policy. I mean, there have been a lot of provisions in the directive principles that we are now actually using them as a fundamental, be it the right to education, be it the debate around the civil code.
And do you support it?
I think this is about setting standards of good behavior by the majority or by the social standards that are not set well.
There is no fundamental right to drink.
No, there isn't a fundamental right to drink. No, there is no fundamental right to drink, but there is a right to life and personal liberty.
That liberty doesn't have, then suicide, drugs, these can all be included.
In the last 10 days in Delhi, there have been 3 traffic accidents where cars have gone out of control and crushed pavement dwellers, and all of them are under the influence of alcohol. So,
but I keep coming back to whether you should conflate excess with moderation. You had a question.
The state allows me, my nation allows me to vote when I'm 18, then allows me to drink when I'm 25. Tomorrow a party doesn't like what I speak, they can curtail or put a ban on my thoughts. Is that the level that we're taking it to?
So you're saying you see it as an interference of your liberty?
I'm calling it stupidity. I am a person, I have thoughts, I've been educated. Well, I have moral values, I can moderate myself. Fine, there are people who cannot. You raise awareness. You do not say that no, we do not think you're a person.
You are comparing apples to pineapples.
So once again, I want to ask Father Sebastian, how do you address this young lady here? Because she thinks this is stupid.
You see, the government is, as far as I understand, is losing about 9,000 crore rupees.
Yes.
And they did a courageous, made a courageous decision because they have seen other values. Say, the families, you have healthy families, healthy individuals who can be productive in the state. A lot of changes will take. The accidents will come.
Okay, I think she's dying to argue with you, so I'll allow her a word.
Okay. I cannot see it as the state helping the people. I can see it as a state trying to get votes. This party
Where do the votes come from? Where do the votes come from? Where do the votes come from? From Mars?
Women.
Or Venus?
Women. Believe me.
We are supporting women.
So
what is the problem with
Venus.
it?
Because they don't.
And so the women's votes are not significant.
No.
The lady said that. Please.
Let's not bully her. She has the right to her.
You are being male chauvinistic.
Let us speak. Let us speak. Don't shout it out.
Right now, you're looking at the short term. Women will say that, oh, the state has banned liquor. My husband will not drink right now.
Yeah.
They will vote. They won't realize that my husband will go behind my back. He'll take out the money that I've hidden,
anyway.
and I will do it.
Okay, Joe's come in there, and then Roji. Yeah.
What I would like to say is, it is not the 9,000 crores which is at stake.
Yeah.
It's the entire opportunity of responsible livelihood that is at stake. Kerala's tourism industry is now contributing 24%. After farm and agriculture, the next big employer. That is at stake. The 9,000 crores is not the issue at all.
You know, Kerala could do a drying out tourism. All the alcoholics of the world could come to Kerala and dry out.
And the people come for health tourism, not liquor tourism.
The big issue.
Kerala is a state with a lot of culture.
Okay, let's take a question.
Ayurveda.
See, I do believe this is a bold decision.
One second.
This is a very extreme, it's a very bold decision, but at the end of the day, if it saves a woman from getting beaten up, if it saves someone's father from not driving into a pole because he's drunk, why not go for it?
Exactly.
So you support it?
Totally.
Lakshmi Nalapat. Do you think there's any merit to the argument, as this young boy said, that it can stop or contain a certain kind of violence?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because it's basically going to encourage bootlegging.
Yeah.
The gentleman said that the Congress had banned alcohol in 1990s, right? 1990s?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever it. I think when Mr. A.K. Antony was the Chief Minister. Yeah. And there was a place called Iriti, which was in Kerala. There's a bridge, and there was Virajpet, which was in Karnataka. And you could see people just walking over the bridge, and the policemen, okay, walking over the bridge, getting drunk and coming back.
Yeah.
So that is what prohibition does.
That's what it's going to end up being. Okay, question here?
Question, okay, I mean, comment. What I see, I personally feel that people who drink, I mean, when it goes to beyond moderation or when they're not being able to deal with something in their own life. They have a problem which they cannot deal with. Yeah. And that is why they take to alcohol to that level. I mean, I have heard of a story of a gentleman who could not deal with this one problem that he had with his own
life. You're saying prohibition is a misplaced approach to it?
Yeah, because, and let me tell you, this guy drank alcohol to be able to die because of alcoholism. He didn't beat up his wife, he didn't do anything. He still made it difficult for his family, he killed himself.
Okay, question here?
First of all, alcohol, we don't consume alcohol for alcohol abuse. Like, I come from a Karbi tribe, and there alcohol is a very intrinsic part of our culture. We drink it during marriage, during celebration, and our entire marriage ceremony is based on how there's exchange of wine from this family to another family. So when you're banning an entire state, you're generalizing the population. You're not catering to each and every sector of the society. And it's wrong on my part.
Okay, quick addition, then I have to start taking last.
Yeah, I mean, adding to the gentleman point over here, I think that we are missing the larger picture here. Why is it that the men in the state or the women in the state are turning to alcohol and taking it to the level of where they're completely out of their senses? We have to connect it to a social problem, say unemployment.
They're not being able to live up.
But I found what she said interesting, and I want Roji to come in there. That there are, she feels she comes from a tribe where it is part of their custom, or at least on special occasions. You're interfering with that.
See, there is nothing wrong in celebrating with alcohol and all that. But the issue is that today we are in a society, or at least there are parts of India, places where, especially among youth, I mean, if you are not drinking, you are seen as an outcast. So that is a larger issue.
So you're saying it's a reverse kind of peer pressure.
Yes.
Your question here?
Surprisingly, worldwide, in families where people drink, there is improvement in their economic status, improvement in their overall well-being. This is seen with relation to individuals.
How is that?
Where
did
this come from? The connection is with both. What happens is you develop networking. You develop an ability to be able to they develop an ability to be able to develop a larger circle. With the result, what happens is their economic prosperity.
I don't know if alcohol is cause for the economic.
This
sounds very far-fetched. This sounds far-fetched. Yeah, Tushar, go ahead. Tushar.
He should be awarded for the most creative excuse for drinking.
All right, I need to start taking last comments. We'll take a question here first.
We talk about duties and we talk about liberty and we talk about rights. The right, what we're discussing is that there's a right to choose your beverage, to have your beverage choice. What about the duty that you're supposed to be, it's like saying spare the rod and spoil the child.
Okay, your question.
You know what bold would be? What bold would be to actually ban the very production of alcohol if that's what you want to do. If you want to generate a culture, you want to improve morality, do that. Because this is as far as putting statutory warning on cigarette packets, which does nothing.
You want
I just want to say, I would like to know the percentage of people who actually agree with the ban in Kerala itself. Because if it's...
Where are you from?
I'm from Gujarat.
Okay, so you tell.
I am from Gujarat. I've lived there for 18 years.
And how has it worked?
It works. You can.
Can you get a drink?
Everywhere. Round the corner,
I had my first drink when my dad, in fact, offered me my first drink when I was 14 years. Okay, so that has helped me to consume it in moderation. Because
you didn't have to hide.
Exactly.
That's the point you're making.
She's right. That's
exactly.
You want to add to that?
Yeah.
So if we don't have the right to drink, government is not having the right to even prohibit the things. If I have to be 2 bottles down, I'll be 2 bottles down at the end of the day.
Okay, last comment. Let's start with you, Rahul Ishwar.
See, one, don't ban the idea of banning altogether. In the modern left liberal world, they are having some kind of stigma with the word ban.
Yes,
secondly,
ban the word ban.
Ban. No, don't do that. You're self-nominated. Then how can you ban it? And second thing, one thing is there.
Ban and liberalism is an oxymoron.
Then how can you ban banning?
Okay, make your point. Make your point.
The second point, there is an interesting socio-political reorientation, whereas all the religions are on one side and the left liberals are speaking the language of far-right liquor lobby, and they are vouching together for one kind of a liberal.
Okay. Last question here.
Okay, a knife can be used to kill a person, but at the same time, a knife can be used to cut the vegetables. So it depends on how you use the.
So that's okay. So very nice example. Let's ban.
That's what I'm coming to. So it's let's differentiate between alcohol consumption and alcohol abuse.
Very good point. I think that's actually the germ of the debate. Shiv, a knife can be used to kill a person. A knife can be used to cut vegetables.
That's bad technology. Why don't you ban mobile phones? They also create accidents.
Yeah.
So
they are banned.
To ban mobile phones?
They are banned in cars.
Nobody. But last thoughts.
They're banned in cars.
Last thoughts, Shiv.
No, I think there's a problem here. I think first let's take certain fundamentalisms. I don't mind an alcoholic, but the addiction to criticizing left liberals, which is becoming today, has to be challenged. No, because I think the conversation made by people who said there is a social problem, I respect.
Yeah.
And there's the reverse thing, if he says there is a livelihood problem, one has to handle that also.
Yeah. Yeah.
The complexity of the thing has to be understood. That is why just mere insults or invocation of Gandhi won't do.
Tushar.
A government that's addicted to alcohol revenues should then also consider becoming a bootlegger, a gambler.
Forget the revenues. What about the issue of liberty?
No,
Choice.
I want
What
to talk about. I
choice?
want to talk about revenues, Barkha,
Choice.
because vice, nothing pays like vice. So why not the government become a bootlegger, a gambler, a drug pusher, and a pimp?
Jose, answer that.
Nothing is more effective than livelihood.
Nothing more effective.
Livelihood is the medicine.
Okay, once again.
Quality of life is much more important.
Of course.
Sebastian.
You need
livelihood is not a job.
You need.
You're confusing the two.
I'm not
livelihood
saying
is about the quality of living.
I'm not at all saying livelihood is a job. I'm saying the opportunity of hope, the opportunity of a career, the opportunity of life.
Okay, I have to end. Father Sebastian, then Dilip Cherian. I have to end after that.
See, we are very much concerned about creating awareness, and the church is doing very much in that field. But for the time being, to stop this abuse of alcohol,
you would support the ban. Okay, Dilip Cherian.
I think that a state where the national sort of item of consumption is the appam, which involves toddy, I would say that the government is taking a very brave move, and thank God they're taking 10 years over deciding on putting it in
Roji,
place.
one sentence.
The opinion polls by the major media houses in the state after the ban, the recent move, nearly 75% of the people have supported this ban.
Okay, Lakshmi Nalapat, you get the last word. We have to end
this. This is hypocrisy on part of the Kerala government and a way to make illegal money.
Okay, the jury remains out. The jury remains out. There is a serious problem of alcohol abuse. I think that no one questions. The debate actually arises from what that young man said, that something like a knife can be used for many reasons. Something like a mobile phone can be used for any reason. The internet can be used in many different ways. So, do you ban or do you encourage moderation, responsibility and citizenship? I think that's where the debate is. Thank you very much for joining us on We the People.